everybody loves to hear about the embarrassing things, right?
Yeah. Certainly when you hit a guy right in the right where it counts, that's kind of mortifying. When you fall and bust it, or when you wet your pants a little bit. I said it.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pickle Me This. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and like so you'll be notified when new episodes drop every Saturday morning. You definitely don't want to miss them. Also, your support helps other pickleball enthusiasts find us too. Everyone has a story. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pickle Me This, another episode. I'm your host, Deirdre, and I'm excited to introduce you to Tracy, an athletic director, math teacher, and high school coach for many different sports. She is bringing decades of athletic experience to the pickleball courts, known for her incredible court coverage, competitive spirit, and just really fun attitude. She's become something of a legend among the local pickleball players who are often shocked when she returns literally any shot that they immediately thought were sure winners. Today, we'll hear some hilarious stories from both the classroom and the court and get Tracy's perspective on what makes pickleball such a unique sport for building community of any age. So welcome, Tracy.
Welcome, Deirdre.
So good
to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you.
Yeah.
Let's kick things off with how you started playing pickleball. So as an athletic director and coach, you were athletic long before you discovered this game. Tell us about your sports journey before you picked up a paddle.
Wow. Sports journey had to have started when I was in diapers, to be really honest. I am the little sister of 3 older brothers and an older sister. And I had to play. If I wanted to be with my siblings, especially my brothers, I had to play. So I grew up playing sports with all the boys. Mostly, the big one was baseball. I played Little League baseball, and I think I was a pretty good ball player back then. So that actually was kind of my big start into loving sports. And then it just kind of grew. I played basketball in the driveway with the boys and soccer. We played every sport. So I went into middle school just tell me what you got, And I ended up, I played with girls in middle school, but also kept playing some of the boys sports too. I did boys basketball. I almost did football. I wanted so badly. I was watching all the pro.
That would have been hilarious.
Oh, I know. Well, I put all the pads on. I got my brothers, I did, back then shoulder pads. You could barely walk through the doorway. I put all that on. I'm like 13, maybe 12. And I looked in the mirror and I just went, oh no. And that was it with the football. But yeah, I grew up playing everything. That's where it all began, and I've never really stopped with it.
I know you're a coach and a teacher, an athletic director. Which of those 3 happened first?
Well, the coach has been all along with my own kids. I coached my boys in baseball and my daughter in kind of every sport she played. So I guess the teaching kind of started then. They realized I played every sport, and they're like, oh, because they're always looking for coaches. And I said, that's great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's awesome.
And then I ended up the AD, the athletic director, and took that job. And it was really a super fun job for somebody that loves sports,
Mm-hmm.
But did that for 5 years. And for me, if I get used to a job and know it and have it down to a science, I start getting bored. Isn't that terrible?
No, actually, it's not terrible. I think a lot of us
so I kind of pulled away from that, and it never gets boring teaching and coaching because you just have a whole new crop of kids that come in every situation, every group. The dynamic is different, and I'm just continuing to love that.
I feel like there's a tendency to think that women will coach women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you coach boys sports.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got into that.
I think having played, having the brothers, playing boys sports, you have to kind of have some self-confidence to get out there with the boys, especially like right now, I have 3 assistant coaches that have probably 30 years of their own baseball experience. One of them played professional baseball. Wow. So I have to go out there and kind of bow up and know, I think I'm pretty good handling the dynamic out there and then with the boys for sure. But I have to go in with complete confidence. Mm-hmm. And you can't show that you don't know what you're doing. You got to be there and you got to be on. Yeah. And gather their respect. But I do really enjoy it. I with baseball, I coached softball for a while and I don't like softball. I don't really love it. I just think baseball is just much more fun.
So you must have some hilarious stories from working with kids in the classroom or on the field.
Oh, working with the kids, you got to be careful about the story. Some of them are funny, but it's like, I will tell one I think is okay. I was at halftime I was in the locker room with my middle school girls basketball team. So these girls are 12, 13, 14 years of age, and we are losing at this point. Our zone defense is breaking down. They just are not doing the zone defense well. So I get out my whiteboard and I start trying to explain to them that the 2 girls at the top of the zone, I'm trying to get a point across. So I put my whiteboard and I draw 2 big circles. They're trying to show them this is the zone that you're playing. And then I put a dot right in the middle of each circle as, this is your anchor, but you want to drift, right? So if you can imagine what I've drawn on my board. And then I say, well, now when the offense, really starts to encroach on the goal, you want to sag down. And so I drew 2 saggy boobs. And the entire locker room, we had literally 2 minutes left before we had to go out and try to compete. And we all just busted apart and barely got ourselves together. And this was probably 8 or 9 years ago. It's amazing what's memorable to these kids. I have girls that I haven't seen in that amount of time. They'll come back for homecoming and they come up to me and they say, Miss Woodward, do you remember the clipboard? Do you remember the boobs? So it's just, that was one. And, I could go in to so many silly things that I've done coaching. I do things that thankfully I don't embarrass easily. I've learned you have to, especially around kids, if you do something embarrassing, you better start laughing at yourself real fast. Yeah. I will fell down and ripped my pants at practice this past year. And I still walk around with those same, you'll see me out at the courts. I got a pair of pants. It just ripped because I fell. Before the homecoming basketball game, I've got 300 people in the stands and I'm the athletic director. And we like to do something before the game, just an opener, read a prayer. So Sydney, who you've interviewed before, her little sister, Monica, is a beautiful singer. And I had Monica slated to come and sing the national anthem before the game. And I was like, I got this under control. Well, Monica's late. I've got a large crowd of people looking for something before the game. And I think, well, I could just sing the national anthem. But I decided, maybe not, let's not do that. And so I decided we're just going to throw down a prayer. Now, this isn't my cup of tea, right? But I thought, you got to do that. Step outside your comfort zone. I went to center court and I started into a prayer and I am crushing it. I am just, off the heart and, off the cuff. And then I went blank. I went completely blank. And I stood there, microphone in hand, and I literally blanked. I did not know where to go. And
they're all hanging on your next
they're
word.
They're hanging. And then I said, thank you very much. And I turned around and the parents working the scoreboard were looking at me like, oh. And I went to my office and closed the door and called my husband and said, made the biggest fool of myself at, at a Christian school.
Did your anthem singers
No,
show up?
no. She was late, and it just, games got to start. Referees are ready to go.
I want to go back to the chalkboard, the whiteboard story real quick.
Yeah.
When you were drawing it, did you you were totally not even paying attention to what you were inferring? When did it dawn on you what was happening? When they started
when I
giggling?
sagged. Oh, when I sagged. I did the sag. And, at our age, people start talking about that.
Yeah.
And
but not middle school girls.
I mean, the girls, they just know. And I saw the looks on faces, and then it just spread like wildfire. But it was sweet and cute. And man, we moved on. You got to keep them interested and in the game. And they got to be having a little bit of fun, especially at the level I'm coaching. Yeah. And so I think I provide that lightness when some of my assistants can be a little more heavy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's talk about pickleball. What was going on in your life and what brought you in?
Great question. So I'm a pandemic pickleballer. A group of us at our swim club started getting together and drawing out chalk lines and putting up, the portable net and all that kind of stuff. So it was really that, looking for stuff to do. But another thing was I was ill. I had been not well at this point when I took up pickleball for like 2 years, 2.5, with a gut health problem. And it was affecting all aspects of my life. And, you compound that with pandemic. I was looking for something to pass time while I was on my journey to try to figure out what was wrong with me. I knew there was something wrong and mainstream medicine couldn't figure it out. So I had to take a deeper dive. But pickleball kind of was a bit of a saving grace to me. At that time, I guess we're talking about 2021, 22, around there. Yeah, were the years I was picking it up.
How'd you hear about it? Did a friend? How did you start?
Oh, I think it was a buddy of mine in my book club brought it up. I'd been a naysayer. I hear pickleball, I think,
Same.
Gray. Yeah, gray hair. All the orthopedic surgeons cannot play some pickleball. And so I was like, can I say hell no? Heck no. I don't want to play that sport. But I tried it, and it felt pretty good. I wasn't hooked immediately, but then finally I started getting a little bit better, and I said, "Oh, let's test the waters." And it really, there's that first part where you don't know anybody, and you just kind of slowly build one relationship after the other, and fortunately, you got 98% of the people out there are really welcoming. So I was kind of drawn in. So I just slowly started going more. It blossomed into, a really big part of my world right now.
Yeah.
And I think you as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. It's the similar thing happened to me. A friend asked me to start playing. I met her a few times. I wouldn't say I was immediately hooked either. It was just kind of fun to play with people that I knew. And then I decided to go to North by myself and just show up. And I think that's what me and all the people, the vibe there is just so awesome. I got to meet all these great people, all these people from all walks of life that are just amazing.
I know. And I don't know how I would have had an opportunity, especially at this age,
Yes.
You don't think about meeting a whole new group of people at this age. And it's just been a real blessing. And having come on the tail end of a kind of life-altering illness where I really, for a while, didn't think I was going to make it. It's like my husband and I will sometimes just look at each other with tears in our eyes, oh my God, look at what's opened, So
yeah,
it's a blessing, and I don't take it for granted.
Aw, I love that. Yeah. Let's talk more about the age perspective because you brought that up, right, in athleticism, the sport. I think let's start with some lighthearted things. We all have those embarrassing pickleball moments. Everybody loves to hear about the embarrassing things, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about something that happened on the court that you can actually, maybe it was mortifying at the point, but is funny
Uh,
now, looking back.
So, we've all, if I think of things that just, in the moment, to me, I'm mortified and then the moment's gone. Coming off the 4 years I had, nothing can scare me now. So it's like, but, certainly when you hit a guy right in the right where it counts, that's kind of mortifying. When you fall and bust it, or when when you wet your pants a little bit. I said it. Just in fact, our friend
Uh-huh.
who is just delightful. She and I we always get cracked up on the court. And I'd like to maybe further discuss the whole laughter piece, and that's how I knew that I had tapped into very like-minded people, or people that are just very similar to me. Don't take things too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
We're often we make each other laugh, and then one of us is kind of wet our pants, and then it explodes into just guffaw laughter. But actually, a mortifying thing, I think I'll share this one, is that Ruth Ann and I were playing in the league, and I will say that some of these teams in the league have got just that one person who takes it a little bit too seriously.
You don't
right?
say.
Yeah. And I am of an age where I just don't want to do that in my recreational world. I don't want it. But apparently, if you're going to play in the league, they're going to be one or two. They're not many. But this team had one woman who I don't think she smiled. Well, Ruth Ann and I feel a little bit bad. Ruth Ann and I, in our laughing antics, we go out on the court. We forgot the fact that we had won the last 5 games, right? And so you got to watch your behavior when you're winning. You just, and we, it's 8:45 at night and we aren't thinking, and I think I actually don't tell, but I sometimes have have a glass of Chardonnay in between the 2 matches. So we are right for the killing, and we go out on the court, and we're up like 3-0. And I fly around the court a little bit like a crazy person.
Yes, you do.
And so I went in the air and I made the most ridiculous. I think I looked almost like a hopping dinosaur, a T-Rex. I had, and I looked awful, and I knew it, and Ruth Ann knew it, and she starts laughing. I start laughing, and it didn't occur to me the other team doesn't want to see laughter. And so this one woman really took it personally, thought we were laughing at her, even though truly she didn't have any reason to think that we were laughing at her, because we just lost that point and I looked like an idiot, right?
Right.
But it maybe kind of progressed in her mind, unbeknownst to us. And at the end, it's 10-10. And
Close
next
game.
point, they came back. It's a close game. It's our serve. I served it and I came flying, like I do, like a flying squirrel, and slammed one for the win, it looked like. And she had, no, you were in the kitchen.
Oh, no way.
And so Ruth Ann and I both like, oh, okay, fine. If we're, oh no, but I shouldn't have to call it. You should call it. And Ruth Ann, we were both like, well, I didn't know my feet were in the kitchen. She said, you should call it. I shouldn't have to call it. And Ruth Ann said, well, you did. And that didn't go over well. And she got really, really furious, and she couldn't handle it. So she walked off the court.
No way. Where was I? Missed this.
Oh, yeah. It was like 2 weeks ago. She walked off the court, starts loading up her bag, and her partner is mortified. And we're like, listen, so sorry. I know I was in the kitchen. It's your serve, and let's go.
Let's
right?
finish this.
So we had to talk it out. And finally she said, I'll go talk to her. And I said, good luck with that. And she comes back, and I was like, I felt really bad for her. I felt really bad. that must have been embarrassing to have to walk back on the court after putting all your stuff away. But we restarted, and they served twice. We won the point. We served. We won the match. And then she just stormed. She wouldn't, no congratulations. And she let us know. She finally came back really huffy and said, I just didn't like the way y'all behaved. I know y'all were laughing at us, and I just don't think that's very nice. And, she made a point, and Ruth Ann and I took it to heart, and we apologized. And, it's good to know that in the future. But, I would think, and this is going to sound terrible, and I hope this nice woman doesn't hear this, but, aren't we able to kind of do this without that kind of behavior?
Yeah. Also, can you have fun? Did you try explaining that you were just like laughing amongst yourselves?
We did.
Yeah.
We did explain it, but she wasn't really hearing it. She was at a place where some people can get, and there's no back and forth anymore. Right. But
I think that's sometimes that happens actually on the rec courts too. I've played against people who are so serious, and if you start laughing, and I'll make a joke, and they don't even crack a smile. So that's my immediate cue to stop laughing and just finish the game, and then I go move my paddle somewhere else,
and then move on. I know.
Move on. It's fun.
I do too. And an interesting thing about the sport of pickleball is it just is a really interesting arena to, I hate to say, size people up. It's almost like speed dating.
Oh, it is.
With recreation.
No, totally.
You can tell so many things about people.
People's real side comes out.
By playing. Either being on your side or on the other side. And, probably mostly the ones that are on your side.
Yep.
So I think that might have lended itself to the fact that I've come out with, literally, I feel like I have 100 new friends.
Yep. And
then you go into like tighter and tighter circles of friends. Yeah. And it's just a really cool phenomenon.
Yeah. Oh, that's totally, like, you can totally suss people out right away.
God.
If they have a short temper, I'm going to try to say this nicely. If they have a short temper, if they're funny, they just laugh at themselves. And then you can more easily see if you'd actually get along with this person. And like you said, then you become friends with, who your future friends are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can tell it really fast.
Yeah.
And being, 60, early 60s, I feel like there's just enough experience. By the way, I love being this age. With it comes experience and so many social interactions that you kind of, I don't know, it's almost like you have a database that you go to, and you just like, oh, I got your number.
Oh, yeah.
And, you don't want to judge too quickly. But I think a lot of the times I might be correct. But anyway.
Tell us about your biggest pickleball pet peeve playing with somebody or playing against somebody.
Peeve. Probably the biggest one is the people who are just grumpy, I think not so much as their behavior on the court, but their emotional, how they handle themselves and the interaction. So grumpy, taking it too seriously, and nice people. I mean, people that you might even be friends with that just take it too seriously. Oh, I know another one just came to me. And this is going to sound braggadocio, but I don't love it when I'm out on the court and the other team might see that I might be the stronger player, and they just literally will not hit it my way, no matter where I am. Yeah. They target. It puts me in a very awkward position. In fact, not long ago, I went and played, and it was cold outside, and I went over there and I wanted to warm up, wanted to play. And I ended up with a guy who's probably in his mid-30s. I didn't know him at all, but he's just a young guy. And we're playing with these other two people, and the other two just are targeting him. And then that whole male-female thing, that dynamic starts cropping up. And I kind of want to say something to him, like, I'm sorry they're targeting you. I mean, they were just hitting it ball after ball. One time I hit him and not hitting it to me, and I was getting frustrated. And I was also getting cold because I was just standing there, and And so, but I actually went up to this woman who I now know well. Um, and I said, gosh, I'm not having any fun here.
Mhm.
And, and she said, well, I'm sorry. And kind of walked away. She didn't like me making a statement about that. And, maybe I should just accept the game how the game is. And I have now, I realize that that's what people do. They find the weaker player and they just target. I do not do that to other people.
Mhm.
If I'm playing two people, I don't know where each of them is at any given time. I just do that. I see a combined front and I hit the ball where there's nobody there.
I do the same thing, actually, Tracy. I like the same way. I don't really target people either. I see
Mm-mm.
open spots. Like I'm like
Yes.
the face kind of blurs to me. It's like I
I
see
don't
the
see it.
best shot.
Yes. And, one would say if you're playing competitively, that's not the best way to get the win. But I'm not out there
Mhm.
for the win. I'm out there for the experience and
Right.
really experience for everybody that's on the court.
Yes.
And
Especially
I
rec
have to,
play. I mean,
yeah. And I have to realize that you know, there are other ways to go out there. There are other approaches
Mhm.
and you got to accept that and make a decision. And so now I'm a little bit strategic on, I don't want to set myself up for that situation for everybody involved. So I'll put my paddle up and see who I got, but I try to avoid that situation,
yeah.
especially with people who I know target and friends of mine in my inner circle.
Yeah.
They can target,
Oh.
but I don't want to tell them that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do, and I don't love it when they're on the opposite side because I don't play much,
Hmm.
and I think it's my spin.
Yeah. I've tried because a couple of people I've played with have told me to target, especially in like competitions and stuff or in league night, target that person. And
Yeah,
I find if I start trying to do that, start messing up because then I'm overthinking my shots.
me too.
Me personally, some people can do it really well,
Yeah.
but that's why I'm like, I think I rather my play. If I see a open spot, like we were talking about, that's how I play. It works.
Oh,
It
yeah.
works better for me personally.
Oh, same. In fact, a player on our team loves to say, "Oh, hit it to so and so's backhand," and I'm like, "Okay, now we're really gonna have trouble." First of all, I gotta find them, and then go. I'm gonna hit it out every time.
Yeah.
So I graciously say, "Oh, good idea." I just play my game. I am not.
Wait.
I can't do it.
Oh, I love it. We talked about
Yeah.
you playing with a 30-year-old. Just in general, I love seeing sometimes you play with younger people on the court because I think just naturally in rec play, when younger people first see old people, and I do the same thing, people older than
Oh,
myself,
sure.
you just naturally think that you've got this.
Absolutely.
This game's in the bag.
Yeah.
And then you get on the court and you're wowed.
Uh-huh.
So what's the most surprising thing you think happens when people see how you play? Because you are really good. And then people talk about you after the fact too.
Oh.
They're like, oh, that woman, the one that gets every single ball? Yes, sir.
Well, you're too kind. You're too kind. I don't know if there's a specific one. I think I was blessed with natural ability combined with a childhood of all I did was play.
Mhm.
And so I go out there and I know that I'm walking around in maybe a package that doesn't look like somebody that might stomp on you a little bit. And I don't take it for granted, and I'm very thankful for that. It's good for the self-confidence to be sure to walk onto a court with a 30-year-old male. And I've had several guys, men of all ages, that will see me at the pickleball court, and I'll actually try to bring along a game, and they look at me. They are clearly looking around for their next option. I think the last time it happened was just not too long ago. A guy came up from Tampa. He was visiting. He's probably 40, 45. He's very athletic. And he did not want to, he was one of the ones that said, oh, no thanks. And then we ended up teaming up and we played a game and he started thinking, oh, I think this woman can play a little bit. And then everybody left and we decided to play some singles.
Ooh.
And I actually kind of felt bad for him because there was a court full just to the side of us, and they were catching wind, and I just literally took him down. And that was one of the few, rarely do I feel bad, but I think it was because he was visiting and there were people watching, and I just felt terrible. But the last thing you want to do is start playing soft. That's like a pile on to their ego. And so I just, I beat him kind of a solid, 11-5. And thankfully, we went right back to a doubles game where we were then partners. And it's like it never happened.
I love that.
But it's funny. I was down in Tampa I was down in Tampa like a week or so ago, and I thought, what if I ran into this guy?
That would be fun, right?
I would recognize him. But because we ended up playing for like 5 or 6 games that day.
He probably hung with you after that. He's like, she's good.
Yeah, we were buddies. Really nice guy. And, but I just kind of schooled him a little bit I think he felt bad about looking around for other people to play with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it always starts that way.
It does.
I was with a young guy just last week too that I don't think he wanted to play with me either. And I'm not nearly as good as you, but I'm playing. And then it started with like you said, the first few points, some looks. And then by the third shot, he said, "Oh, that was a good shot." Like, and like with a question mark, like a surprise question mark on the end. I was like, "Oh, you don't say."
Well, fancy that.
Well, thanks.
That is so funny.
So funny. So let's talk about you mentioned earlier the friendships that you formed on the court. So is there a specific moment when you realized these women were becoming more than just pickleball buddies?
Definitely, even on the pickleball court, before we started kind of getting together outside of pickleball, you realize, okay, I think I've found my tribe. In fact, I would come home to my husband after playing and interacting with people, like Patty and Gigi and all those. And I'd say, honey, because if you back up, you make friendships when you're young and all the sports and then the moms and all that kind of the schools that your kids are at and all that. But I think having a little bit of a unique background, being kind of all in sports and, engineering and fields with a lot of men, I would occasionally think, I don't know if I've yet met my tribe. Like, where are they? And I would come home after pickleball the last 2 or 3 years ago, Fred, I think I met my tribe. And he'd get all excited for me because he kind of knew. But then we did start getting together outside. I think we had a birthday celebration for Anna Neal. And it was at Ruth Ann's house. And I was invited and thought, I don't really know these people very well, but I was like, sure. And, show up with some fresh eggs because that's all, the chickens and everything. And we just had a blast. I mean, when it's just laughing, just laughter and games. And we all had so many stories. And what's fun to meet people new at this age, we've all got so many stories. You've lived a long time. So we could just go on and on. Oh, there was one time that we went and played 2 or 3 hours, just 4 of us, and had a ball, and then decided we were going to go to a brewery.
I love it.
And man, oh my gosh, a couple of margaritas and new friends and a lot of exercise and not a whole lot of food. It got wacky. I mean, I think we laughed the entire time. And in fact, I think a couple of neighboring tables came up to us. They were like, wow, you ladies are having fun. And I'm like, you betcha. In fact, we've had people, I think it was Patty had a girlfriend from out of town and she joined us. We all went to the art museum and there was music there and we saw a movie outside and there were like 6 or 7 of us in the group. And she was like, oh my God, I've never seen people having this much fun, consistent fun. And she said it to all of us, almost like she thought she was talking in her own head. I think it has a little bit to do, I mean, a lot to do with pickleball, a lot the age that we're at, a lot of the drama and the stuff, the small worries and concerns are behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We're all still healthy and
Mm-hmm.
we're all grateful for that. And it's just as a recipe, I think, for just a lot of joy.
Yeah. And a lot of laughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we want,
Yeah.
right?
Laughter is the best medicine.
Laughter is the best.
It really is.
So it's been real good. It's been real meaningful.
How has the friendships evolved playing in the league together as a team? And now like you're competitively together. Have you gotten to know like a different side of your friends?
Yeah, it does let you see a different side, but to be really honest, I think this group, that core group we're in, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
Everybody is gracious and we don't have anybody that's putting a whole lot of priority on us coming out on top. And I just think that's very freeing and liberating. And I'm thankful for that. I mean, if you go outside the circle, people can be a little bit more competitive. And then we have to kind of say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's open it up. Look at the big picture here.
Mm-hmm.
But you love them anyway. I would have a lot of trouble if somebody on my team ended up a little bit like that woman that walked off the court. I think I would have to talk to our leadership and say, this is not working for me.
Talk to our leadership.
I'm going to have 2 Chardonnays before we come. And that ain't going to go well.
Who's the leadership?
That would be Patty.
It would be Patty, right? Patty is a leader, like a natural leader.
Patty is a born leader, and she
connector. Yeah.
Whole thing. She reminds me of a sister-in-law I had back in Nashville. And you don't have many people walking around that are like her, with the light that she has, her spirit, her laughter, her sense of humor. She's an awesome pickleball player. Like there's some things I'll say to Ruth Ann I'd never say to Patty. But Ruth Ann and I could just get maybe a little too real. Not real, but we cut up. Ruth Ann and I, we tend to cut up. And so does Gigi. Fred, my husband, just said to me just the other night, wow, I just really love your new friends. And 2 of them, Fred is way into gardening and yard stuff. It's what he loves to do, and they have a need. And so he's texting my new friend. Actually, a cool story. My husband, I know this is off topic, but he befriended this man that is homeless and lives in a park near our house. And he goes and picks him up and finds work for him to do. So just last weekend, they went and did, about 3 hours of work, cleaned up her yard. And so I thought that was kind of sweet. And then Anna Neal has a meadow, and Fred, my husband, has a meadow they're creating in the front yard. And Anna Neal feels like her meadow is not thriving. So Fred, the meadow doctor, is going to go check on her meadow. And so it's fun,
That's kind of funny too.
That is so good. I'm going to shut this down. You cannot go check on her meadow.
Oh, so funny.
You said it, not me.
I just recently got to know Anna Neal and Ruth Ann. I saw them on the course, but I never had really had a chance to interact with them. And I think I just played different times of the day. But Ruth Ann cracks me up.
Oh, she's hysterical.
So funny.
So I recommend everybody get into pickleball.
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, what about people who haven't tried it at our age?
My sister is a little bit older. Don't think she got the athletic gene, and she's above the brothers, right? So she didn't have all that play, and but she runs. She's very, very active, but not a ball sport gal, right? So she hears about this pickleball thing, and she knows how much fun I'm having with it. And so we go out one day. She lives in Asheville. I went to Asheville, took 2 paddles. We found a court, and it's like, okay, here we go. And unfortunately, it was breezy that day.
Mm.
And unfortunately, Debbie, and I should have known, she'd never played a racket sport. So I put her on the other side of a net. I literally think it may have been the first ball. I hit the ball. The wind takes it away from her. She leans to reach the ball and falls.
No.
Yeah. I mean, she is down. Like, oh my God. She ended up with maybe a fractured rib. She fell right on her
No.
rib cage. So needless to say, that was done. We're not doing that. So, I think people who are really any age should take up the sport. I'm a little bit convinced that if you've never played a racket sport and you're of advanced age, you might be very careful with this. And I think that's who a lot of the orthopedic surgeons might see.
Right.
But if you have, played a little tennis, God, pickleball is so much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. The hand-eye coordination is important. And also too, I feel like as long as you're out being active, walking, working out in some other way, then it's a good thing to pick up. If you've been sedentary on your couch for a while, maybe not.
I know it could, you just don't want to fall and do the whole. I'm glad.
Is she okay now?
She's totally fine. She did not break her hip or anything like that. Oh, which I left that part out. I broke a hip and a wrist riding a one-wheel skateboard when I was 55. And so I was just coming off of that injury when I picked up pickleball.
Oh my word.
So I was very careful.
I can't even imagine that because your prowess on the court is
well, I was going 20 miles an hour on this one-wheel skateboard. The kind with the big fat tire in the middle. And unfortunately, I'm not a detail person and also don't read directions well. The direction said to always have your phone when you're riding it so you can tell how much charge is left in the battery. I didn't have my phone, and I'm coming screaming home from Eastgate Park and going up a hill, and the thing died. And the deck hit the street, and so physics took over. And I went flying onto a hot pavement. It was like 95 degrees outside, and I didn't have my phone. And I lay in the street on a newly paved back road in my neighborhood. And finally, some nice mom with her daughter out in the front yard, 3 houses up, found me. And anyway, the rest is history. I had surgery that night and 8 weeks in a wheelchair, but it's amazing what good physical therapy will do.
Right. And then, And then also I feel because you are already fit, it's easier for you to heal.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking as being an engineer, isn't that a safety hazard for that? If it just dies, it just stops?
Yeah. And some people, yes. I called the company. A lot of people wanted me to sue. And I said, I'm not the suing kind.
Me either.
I just don't want anybody else to have this happen. So I talked to them. I was I was at fault because I didn't have my phone, but also they were it's supposed to actually give you a signal in that the back kind of drops a little bit if it's starting to run out of charge.
Oh.
But if you're going up a hill, you don't sense that.
Right.
So it's kind of a perfect storm. But I did. I mean, I talked to the engineers at the company. I said, oh, no.
There's got to be some fail safes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some kind of beep, some kind of, I don't know, something. Just can't stop.
They should have had something audible, something that says, hey, you've got 2 minutes of charge. Hey, you've got 1.
Yeah. Or it starts to slow down as it runs out of it.
Not just
20 to 0.
Boom. And it did. And my body went 20 to 0 on the pavement. It was not
insane. That was a hurt.
It was not pretty. It went past hurt. It went into kind of a shock situation. It was a learning experience. So,
yeah. Have you been on one since?
I actually got back on that horse. I know I'm nuts. I had my phone and I only rode in the grass.
Okay.
And I rode but I had to try it one more time. And then we sold it to a nice young, 16-year-old. And I gave his mother the whole deal. I said, here's the story. And I said, buy this at your own risk. And
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, Tracy, thanks so much for joining us. It was fun
Oh,
conversation.
Deirdre, so fun. Can we just do this every day?
I know, right? We'll get together and chat. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time when a new episode drops each Saturday. If you like this episode, be sure to leave us a like, and we'll see you out on the courts. Bye.